Hi, I'm Linda Cook.
And I'm Sharon Wren.
And this is QC Crime Watch, where we tell you a little bit about the recent crimes that have happened and the cases that we're following.
By the way, neither one of us have any legal training, so we cannot and will not give legal advice.
And we can't recommend attorneys, basically. No. And I know we've had a couple of people email us and call, and I wish we could, but it is also a conflict of interest for us to do that. So we're sorry we're unable to do that.
We're not mean, we just can't do it.
Right. So Sharon, you and I worked on a story together.
Yes, and this is probably the biggest story we've had this week. There was a homicide in Rock Island last week. On April 5th, Rock Island police were called to the American Motor Inn on 11th Street for a welfare check. And when they arrived, they found a dead woman in the room. She's been identified as Alexis Rowland, age 19. Rock Island County Coroner Brian Gustafson said her cause of death was multiple traumatic head injuries, and the death has been ruled a homicide.
So we knew this a few days ago.
Right.
And then she was identified.
Right.
And I got the feeling, although no one told us this, that there might be a suspect involved, and there was, and the suspect right now is in Rock Island County Court, and his name is Butch Roberson. He is 28.
Right.
Now it's kind of interesting because this is a little bit of a bi-state case. He was arrested on Locust Street in Davenport, and when police approached him, he gave the wrong name to them and had no verifiable identification on him.
And couldn't give an address or anything like that.
Right. So he's been arrested for, in other words, for not giving the right identification, and that's a separate case from the homicide case he's involved in. So that particular case, it's a misdemeanor to do that to an
giving
officer.
False information.
Giving false information, right. And so that case, we will follow that too.
Right.
He has a non-jury trial coming up later, I think this month for that.
I think so.
But the homicide that he faces now, he has been held without bond. Now, we are recording this on Friday, so I have not checked that. I don't know what his status is, but I know he's still in custody.
Right, on charges of first-degree murder and domestic battery.
Right, so we don't know a lot of details about this because we don't have documentation. We haven't been in court, but we will be in court as this progresses.
Right. A verified petition to deny him pretrial release was filed, and he has a preliminary hearing later this month.
Okay, so we'll either be there or follow the documents.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. I had another Illinois-related incident over the weekend. 56-year-old Milan man told an officer he had smoked methamphetamine before he led Iowa State officers on a high-speed chase through Davenport.
Oh, my.
So this is according to Scott County Court records. Howard Fry, and this is quite a list, so here we go, faces felony charges of eluding, speed 25 miles per hour over the limit, second or subsequent, second-degree theft, 2 charges of possession of a controlled substance, third or subsequent offense, and a serious misdemeanor charge of operating while under the influence, first offense. Now, this is very early in the morning, Saturday, 2 a.m. Saturday, an Iowa State trooper was on patrol near on East Locust Street and Main Street near that intersection, and he saw this silver Hyundai Elantra with no front plate driving west. So the driver didn't dim his high beams, which were on at the time, and the trooper writes about this in affidavits. That's when a chase began. So this is the troopers writing in the official affidavit.
Right.
I continued westbound, accelerating to speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour.
Oh, dear.
I know. The vehicle crossed the center line multiple times while fleeing. The vehicle failed to obey multiple red lights. The pursuit continued until the vehicle failed to negotiate a T intersection and went off the roadway straight, causing disabling damage. The vehicle continued through a field in the area of 160th Street and 70th Avenue in Bluegrass. Oh. That's a fairly lengthy chase at those speeds. Oh. And here's what I always worry about. People say, well, he didn't hurt anybody. That's true. But there are a lot of people that go to work in convenience stores, grocery stores, other places very early in the morning.
Exactly.
And they're out and about and running their errands.
Right.
That is such a dangerous situation to be
Yeah.
driving that fast and going through all those red lights.
Oh, it's
So I'm glad no one was
Yes.
hurt. Mr. Fry took off running and was in custody a short time later, and he told the officer that he had methamphetamine in his pants pocket. He also said he has an unused glass pipe that's commonly used to smoke meth, and he did admit to smoking meth a few hours before the incident. So, according to affidavits, a probable cause search of the vehicle was conducted, and a bag with marijuana was located between the front seats. So, Fry had 2 active and valid warrants for his arrest. So it turns out that the registration plate on the car wasn't for that particular car. The car had been stolen out of Milan.
oops.
So there are all kinds of things going through here. The trooper writes that a check of Fry's criminal history show convictions for prior eluding in Clinton County and in Scott County and possession of a controlled substance in Scott County. So he is scheduled for a preliminary hearing April 15th in Scott County Court. And again, we will follow this. A lot of times, and I'm not saying this is what he will do,
Right.
but this is what he could do. He could plead guilty. You always talk about a plea deal, right? That means he may plead guilty to the lesser charges and either get less time or possibly probation out of pleading. So that's what a
Right.
plea deal means. And in these cases that are kind of stacked with charges,
Right.
that happens a lot. So we'll see.
And we will be following this. Well, there's more excitement out of Davenport. A man is in the Scott County Jail after police in Buffalo say he physically threatened a woman with violence and property damage from a Molotov cocktail.
Oh dear.
We don't hear that word, Molotov
Not
cocktail.
very often.
Now, according to the criminal complaints, and there was more than one, the victim reported that she had been harassed for some time by a man who's been identified as Terrence Burridge, age 44. The victim said Burridge harassed her via text, voicemail, and going to her job, causing a disturbance and harassing her boss.
Oh dear.
Now, he allegedly said in these texts, and this is from the criminal complaints, that he was having, quote, a fire cocktail party, end quote, which police say meant a Molotov cocktail. He also allegedly told the victim, again, quotes, if she would give back the children in her care, the threats and increased violence against her family would stop, end quote.
Oh dear.
The complaints also say that he admitted through a text that he had damaged her property and said that he would, again a quote, make her children disappear, end quote. He also threatened violence like breaking arms and having, quote, blazing cocktail parties. Now, this was on October 28th of 2024. On
Okay.
October 31st, just a few days later, he allegedly texted the victim's brother and said, this is a quote, the next time I make contact won't be the hand out the scarecrow, it'll be a blazing, in capital letters, in frontal starting with cocktails party. Now, the message was dated October 28th, and the target for the blazing cocktail party was the victim's home along with the victim and her family.
And that was Halloween.
Yes. So a warrant was issued for Burridge's arrest on November 5th, and he was taken into custody on April 10th and charged with fifth-degree criminal mischief, threat with an explosive device, extortion, and first-degree harassment. He is being held on a secured $5,000 bond and has a preliminary hearing next week.
Oh, that's scary.
This
I
is
would be
very
terrified.
frightening. There's children involved.
And people might not know what a Molotov cocktail is. It's an incendiary device. You put something in a bottle or a
glass
glass,
bottle.
and then you light a rag or something that ignites it and throw it.
Yes,
and
and throw it.
That's basically what a Molotov cocktail
And then when the
is.
bottle breaks, the gas
Or
kerosene
whatever accelerant it
the
is.
accelerant spreads and there's a good sized fire.
Oh dear.
Yes, that's very frightening. He was threatening children. He harassed her boss. This was definitely planned.
Right, and not just once.
No,
So there's a
repeatedly.
pattern.
There's a
there.
pattern.
So well, we'll see. I hope everybody stays safe,
Yes,
including him.
yes.
I do.
Yeah.
Let's see. My next one is actually sort of a wrap up of something that happened in 2024.
Oh.
So we'll go back to 2024, March 8, and this was shortly before 12:30 p.m. on a Friday. And so I'll take you back there. A man entered the Clinton National Bank, which CNB they go by too, at 301 Western Avenue in Del Mar. And he was wearing a mask, and he had a gun.
Oh dear.
And
This wasn't a COVID mask.
No,
y'all.
no. He pointed the handgun at two tellers.
Oh, dear.
And this is according to Clinton County arrest affidavits. He demanded money, and they turned that over to him, and he asked for their car keys. And, of course, they turned those over to him, too. And he left the bank, took one of the tellers' cars, and drove south from the bank. Now, deputies learned from video surveillance footage in the area that this man left the area in a white Ford Escape with Iowa plates. So, shortly before 1:15, this is less than an hour, Iowa State Patrol stopped a white Ford Escape near Eldridge. And let's see here. His name is Jeffrey Bettis, was the only occupant of the car. They read him his Miranda rights, and he admitted to robbing the bank. He admitted he asked for money and brandished a gun to scare the tellers. One of the tellers testified that she was afraid for her life, that he might kill her. So he has finally been sentenced. Again, there was a plea deal, but he pleaded guilty to 2 charges of first-degree robbery and was sentenced to 25 years for each charge. So he is off the streets. I cannot imagine what it is like to walk into a place where you have feared for your life. I feel so sorry for his victims, but I'm very glad that no one was physically hurt.
Yes. So at least we have some closure there to that that story.
Right, because that was quite a story in that you don't really hear about bank robberies very often.
No, you hear like embezzling or things like that, but like in the movies, the mask, the gun. Going in, give me all your money.
The drama, yeah. Anyway, I'm glad it had a relatively safe ending for
right.
everybody.
Well, on a slightly lighter note, no one has been threatened in this story. A Davenport woman has been arrested after police say she stole 2 checks from a victim and forged and cashed one of them.
Okay.
The criminal complaint says a woman named Honda Watson Driscoll, age 54, took 2 checks from the victim's checkbook that was in his home. She allegedly wrote 1 check for $350 and filled it out as paid to the order of Tunde Driscoll. She signed her name on the back and cashed it at IH Mississippi Valley Credit Union on March 6th. Now, a warrant for her arrest was issued on April 5th, and she was taken into custody on April 8th on charges of felony forgery and misdemeanor 4th-degree theft. She was released on her own recognizance and has a preliminary hearing at the end of the month.
Okay. And possibly, if she toes the line, this person, that's possibly someone who might end up on probation of some kind.
Right, because while there was a victim in the crime, the victim was not physically injured as in some of our other cases today, and the amount taken was relatively small.
Right.
It could still have caused this person a lot of anguish. Maybe they couldn't pay a bill.
Right.
But this person is not physically injured.
Right. So I think this happens fairly often, and we may not always hear about it.
Right.
So that is all I have. Sharon, what about you?
That's all I have.
Well, we're going to stop and go work on another story. So we'll be back with you next week, and we do hope that you remember, even if you're not gone very long, lock your car doors, please.
Lock your house doors.
And stay safe out there.